Hello, I am Lane, and we are here to talk about War of the Planet of the Apes. I don't know if I've mentioned it on any of my videos before this, but if I have, or if I haven't, I'll just go ahead and say it here. I have loved all three of the Caesar trilogy, as I guess it'll be called now, of the new Planet of the Apes movies. They're not a reboot, they're more of a prequel. And honestly, of the original Planet of the Apes series, I've only seen the first movie, but honestly, you don't need to see any of the others to understand these three. And I will watch them eventually. I just haven't watched them yet. I'll get to it someday. But for now, we're going to talk about War and a little bit about the whole trilogy as a whole. So, like I mentioned before, I love these movies. The three Planet of the Apes movies that have come out recently, they have been amazing. Really good movies. Andy Serkis is incredible. I mean, you'd already know that from what he's done as Gollum / Smeagol, but as Caesar, he has done amazing things. It's been incredible to see. And it's been no different here. In War, it kind of takes it a... no, not really. It is kind of similar to Dawn, but it takes different things about it. Like, you can kind of feel a difference in it. Because, just gonna throw that out now, this is gonna be kind of spoilery. Go ahead and click out if you don't want spoilers. Woody Harrelson's character ends up killing Caesar's wife and son right off the bat, pretty early on in the movie, which sets the stakes for Caesar going down to hunt him down. Which, if you've kept up with the series, that's not like Caesar. Caesar is a character who is a peaceful man, well, ape, but he's a peaceful character. He doesn't want to fight people. He doesn't want violence. And he's shown that numerous times throughout the first two movies. But now he wants revenge, and it's understandable. This man killed his family. And a few of Caesar's friends, such as Rocket and Maurice, and of course a gorilla that, honestly, I can't remember his name right now. Sorry. I think it started with a J. They go with him to take on the Colonel, as Woody Harrelson's character is called, and get revenge for the death of Caesar's family, and not only that, but for all the apes that have died in the war that's been going on. So they find some more people to go with them, such as a little girl who can't speak, and another monkey who has spent no time with other apes, and he's pretty much the comic relief. I want to say, I think his name was Bad Ape. Sorry, it's been a couple days since I've seen the movie. Yeah, they called him Bad Ape, because that's what the humans would call him. Which, honestly, I'm not a big fan of that as a name. I wish they'd given him a different name at some point in the movie. Like they did the little girl. She's Nova, by the way, at this point. Oh man, sorry, my arm's getting tired. I'm gonna switch over. It's hot in here. And very quickly, though, Caesar gets captured, along with, to the surprise of a few people, of course. Whoop, my bad. Along with the entirety of his group. Not Rocket in them, but like his actual... the people he's been leading, all the apes. They've been captured by the Colonel and all of his men. So, pretty early on in the movie, this is not going to be a war movie, but more of a internment camp deal. A prison break, if anything. And I'll go ahead and skip over some stuff and just talk about some good things and bad things about the movie, because I don't want this to run on forever. Well, pretty much every character, whether they're human or ape regardless, did an amazing job in performing. I have no faults to say about that. The story, I feel like could have been slightly better, but because there were a few inconsistencies, like how the apes broke out, and the little girl just going through the camp as though no one could see her. I just can't believe that was even possible. But both of those things, it's like this is the most unobservant prison I've ever seen. None of the guards saw anything, and it was just, I couldn't contain it. It was so sad to see how they couldn't see a thing as the apes were just pulling all these shenanigans all around them. I mean, there's literally a scene where you see hundreds of guys marching by the cages, and then only one happens to look over in the cage to see no one's there anymore. The apes are all gone. Oh no! No one saw a thing! The other really thing that kind of bugged me was the fact that mercy had been a theme that they introduced kind of halfway through the movie in the Colonel and Caesar's different versions of mercy. And that was supposed to play back whenever Caesar either kills the Colonel or whatever would happen there. And for a little bit of context, remember how I mentioned that little girl that couldn't talk? The reason she couldn't talk is because the virus that had infected the humans and nearly wiped them off was mutating. And it was getting to where some people were unable to speak anymore. And the Colonel, although I don't think it was necessarily true in this case, thought that they were becoming like animals. You know? Like they weren't processing information, that they were like animals. Well, as we could see with the little girl, they were still, you know, sentient. They just couldn't speak anymore. And so the Colonel was killing all these people off, but in the end of the movie, he ends up getting infected, and this happens to him, where he gets that. He can't speak in the movie, and he wants Caesar to kill him. And I was expecting one of two things. Either Caesar killed him in mercy, or he chose not to give him mercy and left him to live on in like that. Instead, Caesar just gives him the gun and lets him shoot himself, which I don't think would have been as powerful as either of the other two options there. So I wish they could have done it slightly different that way. Beyond that, huge spoiler here, Caesar dies in the end. And so that's why I am calling it the Caesar trilogy, because he won't be in the other movies. So as far as that goes, thank you, Andy Serkis, so much for this. You've done an amazing job. And I hope you do just as well in Star Wars as Commander Snoke. Or was it Supreme Leader? Yeah. Supreme Leader Snoke. There were a few jokes in there. Like I said, with Bad Ape, a lot of the things he did was pretty funny. Like, he was definitely the biggest comedic relief of the movie. But there's also just the running gag where all the apes which, by the way, there were a bunch of apes that were they aligned with Koba, and now that Caesar had regained control of the apes, they went and aligned themselves with the humans and worked for the Colonel. And a lot of the gorillas that were with the Colonel had donkey stitched into, or really tattooed, if anything, into their fur, which is, of course, a reference to Donkey Kong, which I found pretty great. That was a great joke, in my opinion. And, of course, they'd call them all Donkey. I don't know how much more I can say about the movie. It was just I don't think it was as good as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but it was about on par with Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So, they're both really good. And from what I've heard, there's supposed to be more coming, which I guess would be about Caesar's other son, and about Nova, I think, in maybe 10 years' time from now or something. I think that's probably where they're going to head with it. But there's also the possibility that they do it like generations after. That's something a friend of mine mentioned, which I think is also pretty reasonable to happen. But it's a great movie. Great movie. Definitely worth seeing. So, yeah. See you guys next time.